Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Always exciting.
Today, we're going to be looking into a case,
Okay.
the case of Ryan Ferguson,
Yeah.
and we're going to be going through an article
Yep.
titled "The Case of Ryan Ferguson: A Journey Through Justice and Injustice" from the website Investor.
Sounds interesting.
It's a story that really makes you think,
Okay.
could I be convicted of a crime I didn't commit?
Well, that's a scary thought.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the case begins on Halloween night,
Okay.
2001, in Columbia, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Kent Heitholt, a local sports editor,
Right?
is found murdered,
Oh, wow.
brutally murdered,
Okay.
bludgeoned and strangled.
Oh, my gosh.
Really horrific scene.
Yeah.
And at first, police have no leads.
So where do they go from there?
Well, 2 years later,
Okay.
a friend of Ryan Ferguson's,
Mhm.
a guy named Charles Erickson,
Okay.
comes forward,
Right.
claims to have these vague, dreamlike memories of that night,
Dreamlike memories.
and somehow implicates himself and Ryan in the crime.
Huh.
Dreamlike memories. That's what they're basing this on.
Well, it gets a little more unsettling than that.
Okay.
Under intense police questioning,
Yeah.
Erickson goes from these kind of foggy recollections to being the star witness
Oh, wow.
against Ryan.
So I'm already getting a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
Was there any actual evidence
Right.
connecting Ryan to the crime scene?
That's the most disturbing part.
Okay.
Despite Erickson's testimony,
Yeah.
there was no physical evidence linking Ryan or even Erickson
Wow.
to that parking lot where the murder happened.
So they're building a murder case solely on this guy's
Yeah.
inconsistent, possibly coerced dreamlike memories.
You would think the trial must have been a complete mess.
I would think so.
Yeah. Well, the prosecution, they doubled down.
Oh.
They even brought in a janitor
Okay.
who'd seen two figures near the crime scene that night, but he couldn't even positively identify Ryan or Erickson.
Yeah. So no physical evidence?
Right.
A shaky eyewitness?
Yeah.
How does a conviction even happen?
This is where it gets even wilder.
Okay.
They introduce another eyewitness,
Okay.
Jerry Trump,
All right.
a convicted sex offender,
Okay.
who claimed that he recognized Ryan from a mugshot in the newspaper.
Wait. They used a mugshot ID as evidence.
Huh.
I'm not a legal expert, but that seems
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
incredibly unreliable.
To be skeptical.
Don't studies show that those are highly suggestive, especially if you already believe the person in the photo is guilty?
Exactly. But despite all of this,
Wow.
despite the lack of any concrete evidence
Yeah.
tying Ryan to the crime, the jury found him guilty.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was sentenced to 40 years in prison.
Based on that, it's just, I can't even wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
So what happened next? Surely someone stepped in, right?
Well, that's where Ryan's father,
Yeah.
Bill Ferguson, comes in. Bill was absolutely unwavering
Okay.
in his belief that his son was innocent.
Wow.
He became an amateur investigator,
Really?
visiting the crime scene,
Huh.
studying every detail of the case,
Wow.
relentlessly chasing down every lead he could find.
Talk about a parent's love.
Right.
Was he the one who finally got things moving in the right direction?
He certainly kept the pressure on.
Yeah.
And his efforts laid a lot of the groundwork
Okay.
for what was to come. But the real turning point came in 2009,
All right.
when a lawyer named Kathleen Zellner took on Ryan's case.
Kathleen Zellner, the lawyer who's known for overturning wrongful convictions.
And she did it pro bono,
Wow.
meaning she wasn't taking any payment for her work.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
It sounds like things were finally starting to look up for Ryan.
It was a huge turning point.
Yeah.
But even with Zellner on board,
Oh.
there were still mountains to climb.
Okay.
Remember Charles Erickson,
Yes.
the star witness, with the dreamlike memories? Well, he was serving time
Right.
for his alleged role in the crime,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a major change of heart.
Oh, wow. Did he finally admit that he lied about Ryan's involvement?
He did.
Wow.
He confessed that his original testimony had been completely fabricated
Okay.
under intense pressure from the police.
Oh, gosh.
He admitted that he'd been struggling with substance abuse at the time
Mm-hmm.
and felt pressured to give the police what they wanted.
Wow.
In a recorded statement, he explicitly stated
Yeah.
that Ryan never touched the victim.
Wow. That must have blown the case wide open.
It did.
Yeah.
And Zellner wasn't finished.
Okay.
Remember Jerry Trump?
The janitor.
The janitor who had claimed to have recognized Ryan from that mugshot?
Right?
He also recanted his testimony,
Wow.
expressing deep remorse for his part in sending an innocent man to prison.
So both of the key witnesses against Ryan are now admitting that they lied.
Yeah, the prosecution's case was pretty much in shreds at this point.
Yeah, it was a complete unraveling.
It was. And it paved the way for Ryan's long-awaited freedom.
It's amazing how quickly things can turn around when the truth starts to come out.
It is.
But I have to wonder what led these witnesses to lie in the first place. What kind of pressure were they under?
That's an important question.
Yeah.
And it goes to the heart of some of the systemic issues within our justice system that we need to examine more closely.
This is getting really interesting.
Yeah.
Let's pause here for a moment.
Okay.
And we'll come back in the next part to explore the aftermath of Ryan's release.
All right.
And the bigger picture of what this case reveals about the pursuit of justice.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we left off with both of the key witnesses against Ryan admitting they lied.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened next?
With their case falling apart, the prosecution really had no choice but to concede.
Did Ryan finally get his freedom back?
He did. In 2013, after nearly a decade,
behind
bars, the court overturned Ryan's conviction.
Wow. I bet that was an incredible day.
It's hard to even comprehend
Yeah.
what that moment must have been like for Ryan and his family.
Yeah, the relief, the joy, but also probably the anger at all that time stolen from him.
You know, but even though he was finally free, it doesn't erase what happened.
Of course not.
Ryan has spoken about how he feels behind in life.
Yeah.
Like he lost a decade that he can never get back.
Right.
The impact of a wrongful conviction goes far beyond just the time spent in prison.
It's a stark reminder that justice delayed is often justice denied.
It is.
Did anyone ever face consequences for putting Ryan through this ordeal?
That's a question a lot of people ask.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the answer is complex.
Okay.
While Ryan was exonerated, the legal system rarely punishes those responsible for wrongful convictions.
Really?
The prosecutor in Ryan's case maintained that they acted in good faith.
Okay.
Based on the evidence presented at the time.
But how can they justify building a case on such shaky ground? No physical evidence, a coerced confession, a mugshot ID. It just seems unbelievable to me that this could happen.
It exposes a concerning truth about our justice system.
Yeah.
Sometimes the pressure to secure a conviction, especially in high-profile cases, can overshadow the pursuit of truth and fairness.
It makes you wonder how many other innocent people might be caught in this same system, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a scary thought.
What about those two witnesses, Erickson and Trump?
Right.
What happened to them after they recanted?
Well, Erickson continued to serve his sentence for his admitted involvement in the crime. He has expressed remorse for his role in Ryan's wrongful conviction and the pain that he caused.
It sounds like he was caught in a web of his own making.
He was.
What about Jerry Trump, the janitor?
Right.
His recantation really highlights the problems with relying on things like mugshot identifications.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His case raises serious questions about the reliability of eyewitness testimony, especially when influenced by external factors and suggestive procedures.
The article mentions that the real killer of Kent Heitholt is still out there.
That's true.
Which makes this whole thing even more disturbing.
It does.
Not only was an innocent man imprisoned, but the actual perpetrator might have gotten away with murder.
That's an incredibly important point.
Yeah.
It underscores the danger of rushing to judgment and the need for thorough, impartial investigations.
Yeah.
Wrongful convictions don't just punish the innocent.
Right.
They can also let the guilty go free.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
It has.
It makes you realize that anyone could potentially find themselves in Ryan's position.
Yeah, that's true.
What are your final thoughts on this case and what it tells us about our justice system?
You know, the Ryan Ferguson case is a chilling example of how easily things can go wrong.
Yeah.
How quickly assumptions and biases can lead to a miscarriage of justice.
Right.
It highlights the critical importance of due process, the right to a fair trial.
Yes.
And the need for constant vigilance to protect the innocent.
It's a powerful reminder that we can't just assume the system will always work as intended.
Right.
We need to be informed, engaged citizens and advocate for reforms that will make our justice system more just.
I couldn't agree more.
We need to be aware of the flaws in the system, question assumptions, and demand accountability from those in positions of power.
Well said.
This case is a testament to the enduring power of hope.
It is.
The importance of family support.
Yeah.
And the dedication of advocates like Kathleen Zellner, who fight tirelessly for the truth.
Indeed, it's a powerful reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, the pursuit of justice must never be abandoned.
It's also a stark reminder that we can all play a part in preventing these kinds of injustices from happening by educating ourselves, supporting organizations that fight for the wrongfully convicted, and demanding better from our justice system.
Absolutely. Awareness is key.
Yes.
The more we understand about these issues, the better equipped we are to challenge the status quo and advocate for meaningful change.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful.
It has been.
And frankly, pretty unsettling.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who are as captivated by this story as we are, where can they learn more?
Well, there's some excellent documentaries about the Ryan Ferguson case that provide a more in-depth look at the events and the legal battles that unfolded. You can also find interviews with Ryan himself. Where he shares his experiences and his perspective on the events that shaped his life.
We highly encourage you to check those out. It's a story that will stay with you long after you hear it.
It is.
What are your thoughts about the lasting effects of this case?
Well, the wrongful conviction of Ryan Ferguson has had a profound impact on the conversation surrounding criminal justice reform. It's brought to light the urgent need for systemic changes to prevent future miscarriages of justice.
So this case isn't just a tragic story about one man's experience. It's really a catalyst for broader change.
Exactly. And those conversations are ongoing. What we need to ask now is, what are the specific steps we can take to address the issues that led to Ryan's wrongful conviction?
Let's unpack that a bit. What are some of the key areas that need attention? So we're talking about preventing future miscarriages of justice. Where do we even begin to tackle a problem this big?
It's a complex issue with many facets. But let's focus on a few key areas that have been highlighted by cases like Ryan's. First, we need to improve the reliability of eyewitness testimony. Studies have shown just how easily eyewitness accounts can be influenced by things like stress, memory biases, and even the way questions are asked during an investigation.
You know, it's interesting because you often hear about eyewitness testimony being this crucial piece of evidence. But if it's as unreliable as you're saying,
it's a huge concern.
That's pretty alarming.
It is. And unfortunately, juries tend to place a lot of weight on eyewitness accounts. Even when those accounts are flawed or contradictory. So we need to find ways to ensure that eyewitness testimony is gathered and presented in a way that minimizes the risk of error.
So what can be done about that?
Well, there are definitely things we can do. For example, there's a technique called a double-blind lineup. Where the officer administering the lineup doesn't know who the suspect is. This helps prevent unintentional cues or suggestions that could influence the witness's identification.
That makes sense. It's like removing the possibility of bias from the equation?
Exactly. And there are other reforms. Like standardizing interview procedures and providing better training for law enforcement on how to conduct unbiased interviews with witnesses.
What about the issue of false confessions? Ryan's case really showed how pressure from investigators can lead someone to confess to a crime they didn't commit.
That's another critical area. We need to put safeguards in place to prevent coerced or false confessions, recording interrogations, limiting the length of time someone can be interrogated, and providing access to legal counsel during questioning are all measures that can help protect the innocent.
So it's about creating a system where the focus is on getting to the truth.
Precisely. The goal of any investigation should be to uncover the facts. Not to pressure someone into admitting to something they didn't do.
It's also unsettling to think that faulty forensic science could play a role in wrongful convictions. You would think science would be this objective, irrefutable thing.
We tend to think of forensic science as this infallible tool. But the reality is that it's susceptible to human error and interpretation.
So it's not just about the science itself, but also about the people who are interpreting and presenting that scientific evidence.
Exactly. There have been cases where evidence was misinterpreted, manipulated, or even fabricated, leading to wrongful convictions.
That's scary. So how do we address that issue?
Well, we need to ensure that forensic labs are properly accredited. And that analysts are adequately trained and supervised.
Right.
We also need to promote transparency in the presentation of forensic evidence and make sure that defense attorneys have access to independent experts who can challenge the prosecution's findings.
It sounds like there's a lot of work to be done.
There is.
What can regular people like us do to help make a difference?
Awareness is huge.
Okay.
Educating ourselves and others about the issues surrounding wrongful convictions is a great starting point.
Yeah.
You can also support organizations that are dedicated to fighting for the wrongfully convicted.
Right.
And advocating for reforms within the criminal justice system.
It's like that old saying, knowledge is power. The more we know about these problems, the better equipped we are to be part of the solution.
And don't underestimate the power of your voice.
Okay.
Contact your elected officials.
Yeah.
Express your concerns and demand change.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yes.
We've learned about a specific case,
right,
but we've also uncovered these bigger systemic issues that need to be addressed. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
The Ryan Ferguson case is a reminder that our justice system, while striving for fairness, isn't perfect.
Right.
It's up to all of us to be aware of its flaws, to advocate for change, and to fight for a system that truly protects the innocent and holds the guilty accountable.
It's a powerful message. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
It's been intense, but it's a conversation that needs to happen.
It's been a great discussion, and I hope it inspires our listeners to learn more and get involved in this important issue.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.